What happens when Hollywood greenlights a movie for Bill Burr to write, direct, and star in?
A mostly white movie that drops the N bomb and makes it very uncomfortable for a lot of viewers.
Wrong. Find out next in Trees in Space. So, welcome everyone to Trees in Space. And if you missed the thumbnail, this week we watched the comedy Old Dads. I'm Jason, and with me, as always, is Nate. How you doing, Nate? And did you enjoy this movie? Gonna be
This movie was another emotional roller coaster ride for me. I didn't know what to expect. I expected to hate this movie, and then I found myself almost crying in this movie. Then I loved this movie. I don't think there's anything wrong with Bill Burr's character whatsoever.
Oh, he just played Bill Burr. Basically, the rundown of the movie is three best friends become fathers late in life and find themselves battling preschool principals, millennial CEOs, who I thought was great, by the way, and anything created after 1987. You said that part you almost cried or whatever. What part was almost tearful, except for having kids? Was that it? Having a kid, just like I remember my kids were angels and sweet and innocent. What kind of laugh was that?
Your very simplistic way of putting it is pretty much spot on. It was I could relate to. I wish I could remember the actual characters' names. I'm sure they'll show up magically.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But Bill Burr, his love with his kid, and ironically, his kid's name was Nate. Stupid fucking name. But the fact that he wasn't gonna be able to see his kids,
right?
That emotional devastation. I 10,000% went there. It hurt. I cried. I teared up inside.
He tend to fight with his wife because of his anger issues.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Right. And just being separated or losing your child like that, that broke me. But the vaping scene when they're in the hotel room and he's like, well, you're fucking smoking. He's like, no, I'm vaping. It's still smoking.
The idea of smoke, the reason it's called smoking is because of the smoke that comes out there.
And then they asked the woman across the hall and he's like, fuck yeah, it's fucking smoking. And then she says something else and they're like,
about the immigrants, I think.
Yeah. You're like,
and that's what Bill Burr does too. Like, thank you for agreeing with me. And then the racist thing comes up, and he's like,
do I want this person to agree with me?
She might have stole the movie. That girl across the burping and the farting and the smoking.
Yeah, she was lovely.
she was definitely Florida man type character is what she was.
Bill Burr's wife, she plays a mom very well, and she can, Bill Burr is a very blunt comedian and a blunt actor, and it takes a certain set of chops to match that level of just narcissism, and knocks it out of the park.
It does. You're right. And as a Gen Zer myself, I'm just kidding. I'm a GXer, Generation X, and the same age or so close to these three people. I'm trying to identify with them. And I kind of do, but then I kind of don't. I got really ticked off at Bill Burr's wife, and I got really ticked off at every wife in this movie. But I got ticked off with Bill Burr's wife. Because she's like, stop doing this, cow down to this principal so our child can go to a private school and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, no, you're on his side or you're not on his side. If he's wrong, fine. But you don't go against him, even if he
But
might be a little angry. I
it
hate
happens all the time, though.
I know, and I hate it. And I get the fact that but the principal, I love her. I can't remember her name, the actress. She does such a great,
Oh, she's such a
snooty.
wench.
Oh, she is, but she does it so well. She was in The Hangover as the wife of the guy with the glasses in The Hangover, first one.
It was a real pleasure meeting you.
Fuck off.
She is just great in her part, and the thing is, they were showing the mentality, I think, of a lot of people, but to an extent, they were stretching the personality a little bit. Like, you bring it to what people are, millennials, Gen Z or Gen Xers, and the mindset people have about these folks. And you bring it to what they are, but then you kind of like exaggerate that. I think they're exaggerating the mindset of some of these people, but some of them they were not.
So
maybe it's a freaking northern thing or a California
and
thing.
that's where I was about to go. This movie is written 10,000% from the perspective of a New Englander male, I feel.
Is it?
Like, this movie hit so close to home. Like, when old dude there found out he was about to be a dad at like 50 something, I felt his pain.
Oh yeah, me too. Woodbine, I love him.
And I'm not even that old.
Yeah,
at
he's a great actor.
37, I felt like, oh my god, my life would be over.
Yeah,
like I can't afford another fucking kid.
Yeah, he is a great actor. He pulled off every part of the nuances of being a dad at 50 from a woman that did not want to have kids, and all of a sudden and wants to get married. Oh, and you're right. That fear and that, like, oh my god, and it's fear, not because you're not afraid of raising another child. It's like, Jesus, 20 more years. I'm 50 years old. 20 more years.
Mm-hmm.
Of be selfish. Yes, after 50 years of life, you have a right to be a little selfish about what you're going to do with your time, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, at that age, and plus he had a vasectomy.
Yes, I know. And he never questioned it. He never questioned it. I mean, at first he did. At first he goes, that kid ain't mine, but then that was the one time.
But then he was like, well, I care about this woman, and I'll be a great dad, regardless if it's mine or not. I'd rather raise this kid than some other douchebag. Probably.
So that's a good man, because I'm like, you got to go. You better get tested, because I tell you right now, if a woman come up to me right now and said, we having a baby, I'm like, what's this sweet shit? You got a mouse in your pocket? Because I got a vasectomy like 20 years ago.
That baby named Jesus.
That baby, exactly. And the other best friend, what's his name? Robert, somebody, the actor.
Oh, he was so perfect.
But he was so emasculated by his wife.
Look, I'm going to tell you something. This is the millennial man. Everything that he's written, that perspective is a legit way, like, at least my perspective. Like, I read this, like, the late 40s, early 50s or whatever, but all that shit's happening right now.
Yes. And they had three different men with three different issues. One, like I said, had a gorgeous young soon-to-be wife, pregnant. She's like 25 or whatever. There's him who has a younger wife who's about to have a baby. They just had a baby together, but they have another one. Mm-hmm. And then the other one who is married but has a child, but it's being raised up by a woman that says, speak with your words. And, there's no that whole...
But yeah, is very controlling.
Yes. But I tell you right now, when that little boy hit the pregnant woman in the stomach...
I wanted to drop kick that little bastard.
And I probably would have. I'd have grabbed him by the nape of the neck and said, don't be hitting my wife. Are you kidding? That's a baby. And the mother's defending, like, that's okay. He's emotional, whatever he said. No.
I would have legit pushed that child.
Yeah, legit.
Like, I would have pushed him right on his butt. Like, what? No.
There's things you can't do. I mean, maybe we're wrong. I don't know. But I know at the end when the father was talking to that, hatchet of a woman, and he goes, it'd be okay if you just, give me a blowjob once in a while. And that one dude walked in and said facts or whatever.
Yeah.
And he did the handshake thing. And I don't know. It was
not cap. No cap.
No cap.
No cap.
That wasn't no cap.
Yeah. Because he felt validated that he got used and he understood Gen Z slang.
Right. Oh, and the part in the strip club. How do you think I am? She went 49. He goes 49. How can you tell? Your neck. I was like, that's why we all grow beards.
And then he just had this crisis the entire time about his neck while he's getting shit faced with the dude that fired him that's 20 years younger.
Yes. Oh yes. By the way, they ran a business together selling T-shirts or um
Throwback jerseys.
throwback jersey. It was very successful. And they sold it, but they
Mhm.
still stayed on. But then they got fired for what Nate was referring to earlier, the N word. Well, no, that one they were saying
No,
something.
they were talking about
Never said the N
would
word.
you rather questions.
Yes, like Caitlyn Jenner things.
Yes.
And the
And
don't
then
yeah.
there was the other guy that was with him got fired because they had a camera in his apartment
And he
and
said
he
the N word
did
singing
say
the
the N
song.
word during the song.
Yes. So and then of course the owner he ended up going to sensitivity training because he didn't realize that Native Americans didn't like the word spirit animal in this
It was all
advertisement.
over his advertisements. Yeah.
Just goes to show how if you go extremely woke, if you will, left, if you go far that way, you eat yourself because there's nothing good enough for the other people like that because you got to be so perfect. Um, but there's nothing wrong with not saying you shouldn't say the N word. Like he said in the movie, he goes, "I don't want to say it," and the guy goes, "You shouldn't want to say it." He's right. You shouldn't want to say it. Absolutely. Um,
But if it's in a song
right.
and you're just going along with it
Right.
and nobody else is around, it's kind of like a tree in the woods.
Yeah, that was a very good point. As in that car, they were saying stuff that just people are saying in that car, and they got recorded, and they got fired for it. And then the person who fired them got whatever because he didn't realize that spirit animal was offensive to Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the world that we live in now.
Well, I did like the fact that they got together and were able to understand each other at the strip club.
Yes.
Like it just goes to show that you can achieve more than an orgasm or an erection at a strip club.
You can. I mean, I don't think I've ever gotten an erection at a strip club.
Well, that's
But
most
again,
unfortunate.
well, I don't think I've ever gone.
To
I
a
don't go for
female
the women.
strip club?
No, I go and I hang out with my boys, and I don't pay attention to the strippers. And I've had a one lap dance in my life, um, and that was in Germany. So that was. It's just not my thing. But the point is, uh,
They,
so
they bonded,
yes, they bonded exactly.
and and it just for me, it's the just take a second and relax. I think that's a problem with a lot of people. And I'm
Mhm.
sorry for this segue, but people
Nope.
seriously just need to learn how to freaking relax.
Yeah, and he
Everybody I know, everything like everywhere, everybody's so fucking tight wounded up. Like the guy that bought him out.
yeah,
Like he was so wound tight in this ball of woke that if he
yeah.
just kind of released the tension of this ball just a little bit, and you're like, okay, that's a little ridiculous that I'm like
The guy
this.
that brought him out, the CEO guy, I liked his character. I think his character was spot on as far as a stereotypical 30 or 28-year-old man now that's in California. That whole mindset. I think it is. And hold that thought. But I love something he said, and I'm like, you know what? There's nothing wrong with what he said here, and that's the same mindset we've had forever. It just comes out differently. Is when he said, "I want you to come in smiling, but I want your soul to be Teflon. I want you to have a soul of Teflon." I'm like, yes, that's what we want. We want. So he agrees. A 28-year-old guy who's CEO wants your soul to be Teflon. And here it was that way. Maybe I won't be so offended. But you were going to say something, or you're just laughing about his.
I was laughing. I was trying hard not to spit my tea out of my mouth.
But I loved his character. Whoever played him did a great job. I liked the fight they had. Um, and then they in the strip club, and he's holding up the "You're live on TikTok,
Yeah.
bitch," and yeah,
Using Gen Z to assist the millennial and Gen
yes.
Zer or Gen Xer.
Oh, that one guy, tell him I'm not with you guys. He's getting his ass kicked.
I forgot about that poor guy.
He got his ass kicked for no good reason. And of course he does get back, and he misses his child's birth,
Mhm.
and he's just, and that part got me. I was like, damn it. I'm like, yeah, I couldn't. Right. And then the mom's like, are you gonna pull yourself together enough to meet your daughter? Like, okay, that's a good woman right there.
That's a great woman.
That's a great woman right there. And he did have anger issues for sure, but calling someone
I mean,
she was being one.
maybe using was a bit harsh of a word to use, but he tried to just get away from it. He like, hey, yeah, I got it.
Yep.
I understand the problem. I was late. I'm not gonna do it again. But then she just kept going. Like, no, did you read the handbook?
Yeah,
I read the handbook. Yeah, and thank you for reminding me of the problem. I won't do it again. Yeah, but everybody needs to know that you didn't read the like.
It's like that guy from Office Space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great.
You can only take so much before you're just like, I'm gonna like. You can only take so much.
And he's like,
I
it's
felt
like,
it.
why didn't you tell me that before I put my kid down? Like, it's free this time. Why didn't you tell,
Exactly.
And then of course they make a fundraiser. It got to be inclusive, but not too inclusive. So it turns out to be a non-themed theme.
Inclusive party.
Yes, it was hilarious. I was like, oh my Lord, it was so on point. There were so many jabs at society that were accurate.
Yeah, it was like, you're right. We were so woke that we were offensive.
Yes.
And we're being too inclusive, and we include everybody because we're too it was just so snake eating itself.
The thing is, Rotten Tomatoes disagrees with what we're talking about because they said that this movie rates at a 25%. The audience rating, which is us and you watching, said it was 86%. The biggest discrepancy I think we've seen so far in review movies. And I agree with the audience more than Rotten Tomatoes. What about you?
I'm in the middle.
Okay, so more like a 50. So you're just a woke liberal, huh?
Yeah, that's me, all right.
you're not a Massachusettsian. What are Massachusettsians called?
I understand the quote or out of context woke agenda and where people are coming from with all of this. Here's the problem. It's always been here.
Yeah.
It's always been there. Forever.
The whole time.
But now we have cameras and people now have feelings because now we can diagnose depression and all this, and we all feel like it's wrong show, wrong time.
It is, but it has always been there. But not only did we only have cameras, but also a lot of the ones that felt this way, who felt they had no power, got to places of power to kind of influence different things. And that's what's happening. But you know what? Let's talk about the 5-year review. The 5-year review. Let's talk about the 5-year review. See you in 5 years, everybody.
You want to take that again?
So, a 5-star review. Deanna says, speaking from someone who might otherwise be considered a snowflake, I have to say the snowflakes are coming out in troves to see this one. You people do not understand Bill Burr and his sarcasm. The people melting over this just proves the whole point of the movie. The movie should bring conversation, not meltdowns. I don't think it was supposed to be that deep of a movie.
Yeah, I think it's a little far-fetched, but it was a 5-star review. This 1-star review or less comes from Christian K. The plot here was unmitigated disaster, and honestly, no lessons were learned by any character. Low-hanging fruit humor and bottom of the barrel direction. I thought it was great.
That was great. Okay, I think
I
I
think he was a little harsh. I think this was a harsh review, man.
I think it was too. Um, let's go with the next five. Well, it's like 4.5. Just absolutely hilarious. Finally a comedy that isn't predictable and stupid. If you like satire, you'll love this movie.
You know, I will half agree. I knew that this movie was going to end on a happy note.
Yes, with
Like,
the plane crashing and everyone dying. Yes.
right, predetermined, like it was going to, like, you're going to have your conflict and the characters are going to overcome the conflict and learn a lesson and they're going to come back and everything's going to work out and then that happy ending. Except for the one person at the very end, which I won't spoil for everybody. It does not end well for everyone. Um, do, do, do.
I'm trying to think who it didn't end well for.
Uh,
The bicyclers. I mean, the guy who hit the trash cans at the very, very end.
Did he hit the trash cans at the very end? Oh, yeah. He said that dude was yeah,
I love that. That was good.
but he handled it very well.
Oh, that was another good point about the movie when they got picked up by what's his name? I can't remember the actor's name. Who's the really old guy? And he goes, "When's the last time you seen one of them traffic thing?" And he remembered, like, "Oh my God, I'm this guy here. I'm this angry old white guy. I don't want to be that guy." Even though you might have a point, you still might have a point, but being angry about it is, I think, the
Right,
point.
just let it go. It don't work. Like, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yes. Okay, now we have Chuck P, and this is also 4.5 or whatever. A solid, funny movie that also pisses me off at the same time. But then again, you had to know it was good when the majority of the Trigger critics gave it a bad rating.
5 stars.
5 stars. That's a good point. I mean, that's probably why I got a low rating, because it's very it is very triggering for if you're triggered happy, if that makes sense.
Triggered happy.
Trigger happy.
CE says absolute mess of a movie. I get the storyline he was going for. What he got was poor writing, bad execution, and scenes that didn't make sense for the supporting characters. I feel like all those boxes were checked just enough.
I think so too. You know what? I've read all 3 of mine. How did you only read 2 of yours? And
I don't know, maybe you jumped me? How would you like to jump me again?
I read the first one. Speaking of someone snowflakes, absolutely hilarious. You read the plot here is okay. So read your last one.
Clayton N. It's frustrating to see old grump conservatives suffering the audience review ballot box on this movie. I had high hopes for it, but Bill Burr just used different scenes as opportunity to deliver his usual grumpy Harrogans?
Haragues. You see it. I don't know. Grumpy.
Oh, Haringus? I don't know. This could have been more comic nuance and less stilted dialogue. Is not as funny in context or interactive social scenes as an old dad. I found it unwatchable.
Okay, Clayton. Take your box of Wheaties and your Botox and go fuck off. No,
I was just thinking he needs to dislodge the boxers from in between his butt cheeks.
I know. I mean, yeah, it wasn't the best comedy in the world, but it wasn't. I mean, yes, this is basically his stand-up routine for sure. But I mean, it was okay, I guess. So, the wow, that's funny remark is from Michael P. Most realistic depiction of a strip club. I might be 9 beers in, but I liked it.
As long as somebody got a message out of it, I guess.
Saying all that, I'm putting this in the same category of other comedy movies, which is pretty much most of the ones I've watched, that has no plot, just about society and how things are going, how someone deals with stupidity. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I could watch it again. It's good back wall fodder for me. I do like Woodbine, the black gentleman who plays in the movie. I can't think of his name. I think his first name's like Wookie or Wookie. It's a really unusual first name. I love him. He's a great actor. So because of his performance, I'm going to add a half a stump and give this 2 trees.
Wow. Uh, again, for another, I'm shocked. So I found this movie extremely relatable. It may have hit me at the like I needed a movie like this at the perfect time. Maybe that may be swaying my judgment of how I feel about this movie. However, I found the scenes that were supposed to be funny were funny. I thought the scenes that were supposed to be serious were serious. The emotion felt real. Like it felt me. So with that,
Did
this
it felt you? It felt you. Huh?
yeah, I felt it. It felt me all in the tingles. This movie may get the highest score yet of any movie because I'm putting this in the category of movies like Super Troopers, and just the like a nice satire comedy that like I don't know. I'm giving it 4 trees and a stump.
That is the eyes you had before that was 4 trees. Uh,
I didn't think I was going to like this movie. I was very reluctant to watch it. I had a very low bar for this movie. I'm not generally a Bill Burr fan,
right.
honest. And again, the fact that I felt emotion, I almost teared up in this movie. I felt happy. I laughed in this movie. It drew out emotions for me. No sweat. 4 trees in the stump.
Okay, well that's fair. If it did that to you, and and like all movies, this movie, it all depends on how you're feeling when you watch a movie. Some movies are excellent because you're watching them at a certain time, and then you watch them later on. Like I don't remember this movie being shitty like this. This and that's fine. And Bill Burr does direct this too, and I think he has an eye for directing. I think I think that it was directed just fine. So you have heard our review of Old Dads. Nate and I have said what we said. Please give us a comment, a like, subscribe, tell your dog, tell your mom, tell your hog, tell your
Drop a comment.
yes, and all those kind of things because it really does help us. It helps us get around so people can see more of this and we can know what content you want to see.
Oh, and please recommend a movie for us to review.
Absolutely, and every Monday we drop a new one right here,
7 a.m. Same time, same channel.
or 5 a.m. depending on what time where you are in the country, or like Russia or Japan. Just every Monday. Just know
Still
that.
not in our country.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.